Night falls softly around you, and every shadow feels like a deliberate invitation rather than a random crossing. You arrive at a low wooden gate, framed by lanterns whose gentle glow seems to recognize your presence. No flicker, accidental, no path, unplanned. Stepping across its threshold, you sense the quiet choreography of countless lives meeting here. The brush of wind that guides a falling leaf, the ripple of water that leads a lantern downstream. In this sacred hush, you realize that every encounter, whether with a stranger, a whisper, or your own breath, carries a lesson woven by unseen hands. Whatever has brought you here was never by chance. It was an opening inviting you to sleep deeply and awaken more wise. You breathe in the lantern-scented air and let it settle into your bones, guiding you onward into the story that awaits. You step beyond the gate into a moonlit courtyard where the air hums with silent purpose. A single lantern swinging gently casts shadows that shift like living calligraphy across ancient stone. You slip off your shoes and feel the cool tiles beneath your feet, each one placed long ago by hands whose names have faded, yet whose intention endures. In that feeling, you recognize the teaching of unseen lineage, that every path you walk was first laid by others' careful steps. What gratitude rises when you sense the countless lives guiding your own. A breeze stirs the paper lanterns overhead, carrying the scent of incense from a low altar at the courtyard's edge. You approach and bow, noticing how the incense's smoke spirals upward in deliberate coils before dispersing into formless air. It reminds you of the Zen anecdote when a master asked where enlightenment dwells. He pointed to the smoke, here yet everywhere. You inhale the fragrant spiral and let it anchor you to this moment, knowing that every breath you take carries you toward deeper wisdom. What truth floats to the surface when you follow the smoke's unhurried dance? Beyond the altar, a narrow corridor of bamboo panels leads you to an open hall, where a shallow pool reflects the night sky, its surface broken only by the ripple of a single koi. You kneel beside the water, extending a fingertip to send concentric rings outward. Each ring seems to echo the idea that every action, no matter how small, resonates through the vastness of life. Pause here. What intention do you set now? Knowing its ripple will touch places unseen. Rising, you follow a flight of worn wooden steps that ascend to a rooftop terrace. There, swaying grasses frame a view of distant mountains under silver starlight. You lean on the railing, letting the night's hush settle into your bones. In that silence, you sense the teaching of reciprocal stillness, that the quieter you become, the more the world's gentle teachings speak to you. What wisdom waits in the spaces between stars and silence? With each breath, you feel sleep, drawing near an invitation from every shadow, every lantern, every ripple you've witnessed. You close your eyes and listen to the courtyard's soft chorus, the lantern's sigh, the incense's spiral, the koi's gentle lap. Here, in this orchestrated hush, you rest in the knowing that no encounter is accidental. Each has led you home to yourself. Drift into the depths of slumber, carrying the ripples of tonight's lessons into the dawn of a wiser morning. A distant gong sounds from beyond the courtyard walls, its deep reverberation folding into the night like a whispered vow. You rise and follow its echo down a narrow corridor where paper screens glow softly with lantern light. Each step is guided by the gong's patient cadence. Inhale, reverberate. Exhale, stillness. In that rhythm, you recall the teaching of sacred time. Every moment becomes a ceremony when you give it full attention. What ritual will you bring into your own daily life to honor time's gentle passage? You push aside the screen and enter a silent hall strewn with cushions where a low wooden table invites you to sit. On its surface, a simple tea set waits: a clay teapot, 2 small cups, and a single branch of jasmine blossoms in a slender vase. You kneel beside the table and pour steaming water into the cups, noticing how the rising steam carries the jasmine's sweet promise. In the careful pouring hands, steady breath, mindful, you encounter the teaching of embodied ritual. Meaning emerges when intention and action flow as one. You lift a cup, bring it to your lips, and taste the tea's quiet warmth as it settles into your chest. What heartfelt intention does each sip impart? Setting the cup down, you close your eyes and listen to the hall's hush, the soft tap of your heartbeat, the distant murmur of water, the lingering echo of the gong. You allow the jasmine's fragrance to drift through every cell, weaving calm into your bones. In this intimate stillness, you touch the teaching of inner sanctuary. No matter where you are, you can carry this tea's warmth and this hall's peace within you. What inner refuge will you return to when life's storms swirl around? When you open your eyes, the jasmine branch seems to glow in the lamplight, each blossom a silent smile. You rise, bow to the table, and step back into the courtyard, where moonlight and lantern glow mingle on ancient stone. The gong's final echo fades, leaving only the lantern's steady breath and the jasmine's whispered promise. In this living tapestry of sound, scent, and light, you sense that every encounter, be it with a stranger's kindness, a petal's drift, or your own quiet breath, has carried you forward, deeper into presence and wisdom. With a final slow breath, you continue onward, each step a living prayer, weaving the night's teachings into the dawn of your soul. You step away from the jasmine-scented hall and wander beneath the lantern-lit arch, where winding ivy softens the stone's edges. The night air wraps around you like a familiar shawl, and you sense the teaching of gentle homecoming, that every journey, no matter how winding, leads you back to the heart's still center. What truth do you bring home with you tonight, carried like a lantern in your chest? Ahead, a narrow bridge of polished wood arches over a quiet koi pond. You pause at its midpoint to watch the fish stir beneath the surface, each ripple reflecting lantern light like scattered stars. In the koi's languid dance, you meet the teaching of effortless flow. When you align with life's current, movement becomes grace. You lean on the rail, letting the bridge's gentle curve support you, and whisper a silent vow to move through each coming moment with the same poise. You cross to the far bank and follow a gravel path edged with wild roses whose soft petals glow in the lantern's glow. You brush your fingertips along a bloom, feeling its velvet softness, and touch the teaching of tender awareness that every detail, however small, holds the possibility of awakening. You breathe in the rose's fragrance, letting it awaken gratitude for the simplest joys hidden in plain sight. Continuing down the path, You enter a grove of ancient cypress where a single stone bench sits beneath low-hanging branches. You sit and fold your hands in your lap, closing your eyes to the grove's cathedral hush. In the stillness, you detect the teaching of sacred pause. Sometimes the deepest wisdom arrives not in sound, but in the space between sounds. You rest there, neither rushing ahead nor clinging behind, simply present in the cathedral of quiet. When you finally rise, you feel the pull of slumber as a gentle hand guiding you toward rest. You walk back across the gravel past the koi pond beneath the jasmine-scented arch and return to the low wooden gate where your journey began. The lanterns glow softly as though bidding you a tender farewell. You lift the gate's simple latch and step through each footfall, drawing you closer to your bed and the embrace of sleep. With one last look at the lantern-lit courtyard, you carry its lessons within you: grace and flow, tenderness and awareness, stillness and pause, and the knowing that every encounter, every breath, every silent moment was no coincidence, but a gentle weave of wisdom guiding you home. Now lie down, breathe softly, and let these teachings lace your dreams until you awaken wiser, refreshed, and at peace. A hush settles over you as the lantern light fades into dawn's soft promise. You lie down on your familiar bed, feeling the gentle weight of your body pressed into the mattress and the steady rise and fall of your chest. Each breath becomes a quiet tide, ebbing and flowing with tender ease. You notice the echo of lantern shadows at the edge of your vision, carrying their lessons into the gentle cradle of sleep. Your mind drifts through the night's encounters, each lantern glow, each ringing bell, every petal on the water's surface, woven into a seamless tapestry of presence. You sense how these moments have guided you away from striving and toward simple being. The teachers whisper that no ripple is too small now resonates in your heart, reminding you that even the softest intention has the power to change the world within. Warmth spreads through your limbs as the body remembers release. Muscles loosen like petals, unfurling at first light. You let go of any lingering thought, allowing them to dissipate like smoke on a gentle breeze. In that release, you touch the timeless center that needs no story or label, only the tender awareness of this very breath. Your awareness softens into a silent sphere at the center of your chest, where every lesson lingers as an ember of calm. You rest here, neither awake nor lost in dream, carried on the tender current that flows between worlds. The boundary between night's teachings and day's promise dissolves. You are held in the gentle space where every ending becomes the seed of a new beginning. And now, in this liminal moment, just before sleep's full embrace, you surrender to the knowing that every encounter was no coincidence, but a carefully arranged moment of grace. You drift beyond the edge of thought into the boundless stillness that awaits you in dreams, cradled by the soft wisdom of each unfolding breath. You awaken in the gentle glow of morning's first light, filtering through a paper shoji screen, the air hushed and soft. Rising, you slip into simple robes and step onto a narrow veranda overlooking a quiet pond. Dragonflies hover above its surface, their wings tracing invisible calligraphy on the air. Watching them hover, you recall the teaching of effortless stillness, how presence itself can become the most profound action. What thought drifts away when you simply sit and observe? Leaving the veranda, you follow a stone path winding through a garden of raked gravel and moss islands. Each careful placement of the raked straight lines interrupted by perfectly rounded stones mirrors the teaching that structure and spontaneity coexist in harmony. You pick up the rake and trace a single line, feeling the sand yield beneath its teeth, settling your mind into the gentle rhythm of creation. What pattern might you draw in the vast canvas of your day? Beyond the gravel lies a bamboo grove where shafts of light fall in slender columns. You walk between them, palms brushing the smooth green stalks, and sense the teaching of supportive community. Each bamboo stands tall only because it grows in thicket roots intertwined beneath the earth. You lean back against one, letting its strength support you for a moment. In what way might you lean on others and offer your own support in the coming hours? A distant murmur of water leads you down a moss-covered incline to a small waterfall spilling into a crystal basin. You crouch and scoop the cool water, letting droplets slip through your fingers like living jewels. In that fleeting sparkle, you meet the teaching of impermanence. Even the brightest moment passes, yet each drop nourishes what follows. You taste the water, and gratitude arises for every fleeting gift. What gift will you notice today if you greet each moment as a passing jewel? Continuing on, you follow the sound of a single bell hanging in a quiet alcove. Its tone, when you gently strike it, resonates long after the mallet drops. You close your eyes and listen until the last echo fades into silence, sensing the teaching of awareness. When sound ceases, the silence that remains is deep and full. What silence will you carry with you even in the busiest moments? Stepping away, you pass beneath an arch of flowering wisteria whose lavender blooms drift down like soft rain. You pause and let one blossom fall into your hand, marveling at its delicate veins. In its hush-like descent, you perceive the teaching of graceful release, that beauty arises in letting go. You open your hand and watch the blossom float away on a breeze. Where might you practice graceful release as your day unfolds? You continue along a hidden corridor to a simple tea hut where a steaming bowl of matcha awaits. The host bows, and you bow in return, acknowledging the shared ceremony. Each whisk of the tea's froth from foam swirling to emerald brilliance becomes a living meditation on transformation. You sip slowly, letting its warmth infuse your chest. In that warmth, you meet the teaching of mindful nourishment. Every small ritual can feed both body and spirit. How might you make nourishment a food thought or kindness a mindful act in your day? From the tea hut, a lantern-lit bridge arches over a koi pond encircled by cherry trees. You cross it slowly, eyes lowered, until you reach the far bank where a single stone bench invites rest. Sitting there, you watch petals drift across the water like whispered blessings. Each petal's journey from bloom to pond reminds you that every cycle of life, however brief, leaves its own grace. What cycle in your life will you honor today by noticing its grace? As you rise to continue, The path opens onto a silent courtyard where dawn's light has melted every shadow. You pause at its center and bow deeply to the path you've walked, to the teachings you've received, and to the moment that is now. You take a final breath of the morning air, carrying its clarity into the hours ahead, and when you glide smoothly into your day, you do so with the quiet wisdom of every step you've taken here. You step through the courtyard's open gate and enter a grove of young pine saplings, their slender trunks reaching eagerly toward the sky. With a soft inhalation, you draw in the resin-tinged air, and with each exhale feel your own aspirations stretch without strain. You pause to press a hand against a sapling's bark, sensing in its supple strength the teaching of beginnings. Even the tallest pine once sprouted from a single seed. What new intention might you plant today, trusting it will grow with quiet persistence? Ahead, a gentle breeze carries the faint patter of rain on distant rooftops. You follow the sound to a covered pavilion where a shallow pool mirrors the darkening sky. Raindrops fall in endless patterns, each circle embracing the one before it. In their effortless dance, you meet the teaching of cyclical renewal. Endings give rise to beginnings, and every drop returns to the ocean. You extend a finger to send a ripple through the pool, watching it merge seamlessly with the others. What renewal might you welcome by letting go of something worn? Leaving the pavilion, you walk onto a narrow boardwalk winding through a field of wild iris. Each bloom stands tall in its own space, yet collectively they create a tapestry of gentle color. You stoop to brush a petal with your fingertip, noticing how its intricate lines guide your gaze inward. In that small gesture, you touch the teaching of interdependence. Your unique presence adds to the beauty of the whole. What individual talent of yours will you offer today to weave into life's broader tapestry? The boardwalk leads you past a moss-covered stone lantern whose carved face smiles in the dim light. You pause to bow before it, honoring the lantern's silent guidance through darkness. In its unspoken welcome, you sense the teaching of compassionate presence, that simply shining your light for another can transform their night. What small act of kindness will you carry forward as a quiet beacon? Continuing on the path, curves to reveal a line of ancient cedar doors set into a hillside. Each door bears a single character: listen, trust, release. You stand before the first and place your hand on its cool surface, inhaling deeply as though drawing the word into your own heart. Moving to each door, in turn you reflect on its message, letting each character settle within you like a seed. Which teaching calls to you most urgently in this moment? At the final door, release, you push it open and step into a moonlit clearing where fireflies drift above a bed of soft grass. You lie down and let the earth cradle you, eyes lifted to the dance of light. In their gentle flicker, you meet the teaching of surrender. When you stop holding on, the world's magic finds its way to you. You allow your breath to slow, matching the fireflies' unhurried arcs, and drift deeper into the ever-present flow of being. A soft glow of dawn's first light filters through the fireflies' fading shimmer as you lift yourself from the grass. The clearing, once alight with their dance, now holds only the gentle promise of morning's arrival. You brush dew from your robes and follow a faint deer path that leads upward toward a low stone terrace. Each step feels buoyant, as though the earth itself is grateful for your presence. Reaching the terrace, you find a slender wooden bench overlooking a valley newly painted in rose and gold. You sit and let the panorama settle into your chest. The rolling hills, the winding river, the distant rooftops glimmering with awakening life. In this vast view, you recall the teaching of perspective. Sometimes you must rise above familiar ground to see how every path converges into a greater journey. What broader vista will you choose to remember when small worries cloud your mind? A single white crane passes overhead, its wings cutting through the pastel sky with serene confidence. You watch it drift beyond the horizon and sense the teaching of purposeful flight, that each intention directs your life's arc as surely as the crane's wings guide it home. You close your eyes and breathe in the bird's quiet resolve, feeling it infuse your own heart with steady courage. Rising from the bench, you follow a stone balustrade back to the pavilion where jasmine tea still awaits in its clay bowl. The steam has cooled to a faint mist, and you lift the bowl with both hands, letting its lingering warmth remind you of every moment's fleeting perfection. In that simple sip, you taste the night's final lesson, even as one chapter closes, the lanterns dim. The fireflies fade, the moon withdraws, another unfolds in the next breath, the next heartbeat, the next sunrise. Carry this cycle of grace within you and walk into your day with the quiet knowing that every meeting, every moment was never by chance, but a gentle turning of the universe's own dance. You step away from the pavilion and descend a winding stone staircase carved into the hillside, each step lined with emerald moss and tiny blossoms peeking through the cracks. As you reach the foot of the stairs, a gentle breeze carries the distant laughter of morning birds and the soft rustle of awakening leaves. You pause to cup your hands around your ears, letting the symphony of daybreak fill you with renewed aliveness. Before you lies a narrow wooden bridge spanning a tranquil stream, whose waters weave through the valley like a silver ribbon. You step onto the bridge and lean over the railing, watching pebbles glint beneath the surface. A single golden koi glides past its scale, flashing like a dropped sunbeam. In its passage, you recall the teaching of radiant presence. Even in the simplest of journeys, your light can touch everything it passes. Crossing the bridge, you follow a path flanked by towering bamboo, whose stalks sway together in wordless greeting. You raise your arms to let their slender canes brush against your fingertips, each touch a reminder that community, though silent, supports every moment of growth. Moving on, you find yourself at the entrance of a secluded tea garden, where a steamy kettle atop a stone hearth invites you to pause once more. Here beneath the dappled light, you kneel on a smooth stone and pour the hot water over fresh mint leaves arranged in a simple cup. The mint's cool aroma mingles with the kettle's warmth, and you inhale deeply, feeling tension melt from your shoulders. In that fragrant exhalation, you meet the teaching of inner balance, how opposing forces when united, create a harmony deeper than any singular note. When you sip the mint tea, its clarity seems to wash through every cell, reminding you of the potency of small acts carried out with full attention. You close your eyes, letting gratitude rise for this final moment of stillness before the day fully awakens. And with one last breath, you stand bow to the garden's quiet care and step back onto the winding path, each footfall carrying you forward with calm purpose as the world unfurls around you in gentle welcome. You leave the tea garden behind and follow a mossy lane that climbs steadily through a grove of cherry trees whose early blossoms tremble in the soft breeze. Each petal that drifts down seems to carry a silent blessing, and you catch one on your shoulder, feeling its cool touch. In that fleeting contact, you recall the teaching of delicate impermanence, how beauty lives most fully when released without grasping. You brush the petal away with a gentle smile and continue upward, heart light as the falling bloom. The path narrows as it ascends beside a trickling stream, its stones smoothed by centuries of water's patient flow. You pause to cup your hands and drink deeply, tasting the granite-cold vitality that courses through your veins. In that revitalizing sip, you meet the teaching of faithful renewal. Each moment offers fresh strength when you open to its source. You set your hands under a small waterfall and let its cascade wash away any lingering fatigue. Further on, the trail leads you into a boulder-strewn clearing where a solitary shrine stands, its wooden eaves worn smooth by wind and rain. You kneel on the cool flagstones and bow your head, offering silent gratitude for every step that has guided you here. Above, the sky stretches wide and unbroken, reminding you of the teaching of boundless space. When you release all boundaries, your spirit soars free like the clouds. You rise in quiet reverence and step back onto the path, carrying the shrine's blessing into the next unfolding moment. You descend from the shrine's clearing along a narrow trail lined with fragrant cedar boughs, their needles carpeting the earth like soft emerald. Each inhalation fills your lungs with the resinous sweetness of forest air, reminding you of the teaching of restorative breath, that every inhale offers renewal, every exhale surrender. You pause to place a hand on a low-hanging branch, feeling its steady strength and letting its quiet resilience settle into your own bones. The trail curves gently until it opens onto a hillside of terraced rice paddies, their emerald mirrors reflecting the rosy dawn. You step along the narrow stone ridges between paddies, careful to keep your balance as water laps softly at your feet. In this living geometry, you meet the teaching of harmonious design. Every level supports the next. Each mirror expands the sky's light. You lean forward to trace a finger through the shallows, sending concentric ripples across the terraces, an echo of how small acts radiate outward in service to the whole. Leaving the paddies, you climb a few mossy steps to a thatched hut perched at the field's crest. Inside, a single mat and a hand-carved bowl await you. You sit, and a kind-eyed elder passes you a handful of fresh rice and hot tea. Together, in companionable silence, you share this simple meal, each grain tasted with reverence, each sip a silent prayer. In this shared stillness, you discover the teaching of communal presence. Nourishment deepens when given and received in mindful fellowship. With the last grain and final drop, you rise and bow to your host before stepping back into the open air. The sun now burns gold across sky and field, and you feel its warmth infuse your steps as you follow a narrow path winding down through wildflower meadows. Each blossom, in hues of violet and white, turns its face toward the sun, teaching you the lesson of active receptivity. When you open fully to life's light, growth unfurls naturally within. Continuing through the meadow, you come upon a hidden spring, nestled beneath a twisted olive tree. You kneel and cup the crystal water, letting it slip through your fingers like liquid clarity. A line of ants crosses the stone's edge, each carrying a petal fragment to their unseen home. You watch their silent industry and sense the teaching of humble service that even the smallest labor, offered without expectation, weaves strength into the world's fabric. Standing, you follow the spring's outflow down a gentle ravine where sun-dappled rocks invite you to rest. You settle upon one and close your eyes, listening to water's song, and birdsong interlaced a living duet of earth and air. In this refrain, you touch the teaching of integrated harmony, where every element, rock, water, wing, joins in effortless melody. You breathe in unison with the ravine's rhythm, feeling yourself dissolve into the land's quiet symphony. As you open your eyes, the path ahead leads you back toward the village's edge, where the day's bustle quietly begins. You walk on, carrying each lesson like a lantern in your heart: restorative breath, harmonious design, communal presence, active receptivity, humble service, and integrated harmony. With each step, you weave these teachings into the tapestry of your everyday, letting them guide you onward, ever present, ever wise. You round the corner of the village's edge and find yourself on a narrow lane where jasmine vines climb sun-warmed walls, their blossoms nodding in welcome. You pause to inhale their honeyed scent, letting it weave sweetness through your thoughts. In that gentle perfume, you touch the teaching of everyday wonder, that even the most familiar paths can reveal unexpected gifts when approached with fresh eyes. What new marvel awaits your noticing today? Ahead, a faint aroma of baking bread draws you to a small bakery where the baker slides a golden loaf from his hearth. He catches your gaze and offers you a torn crust, still warm. You accept it with a bow, feeling the teaching of shared goodness. Nourishment given freely becomes a bridge between souls. You taste the loaf's soft crumb and let gratitude rise for every hand that labored to bring it from grain to table. Leaving the bakery, you follow the scent of lavender drifting from a window box above a quiet courtyard. A painter sits at an easel, her brush poised over a canvas of village rooftops. You stop to watch her strokes, each one deliberate, each one alive. In her focused creation, you meet the teaching of mindful artistry, that every act, no matter how simple, can become an expression of presence. What brushstroke will you add to the canvas of your day? Continuing on, you come upon the village well, where children gather to fill clay jars. You kneel and draw cool water, letting its clarity reflect the sky. As you offer a cup to a passing traveler, you sense the teaching of open hospitality, that the simplest welcome can quench both thirst and loneliness. You drink deeply, and as you stand, you feel the wellspring of kindness bubbling within you, ready to serve wherever your path leads next. You step away from the well, carrying its cool clarity in your bones, and wander down a cobblestone street lined with simple stalls. A potter shapes clay on his wheel, his hands moving in silent conversation with the spinning form. You pause, noticing how each gentle pressure coaxes a vessel into being embodying the teaching of skillful means. True mastery arises when action is guided by wisdom. What form might you shape today through the kindness of your own hands? Beyond the potter, a street musician sits beneath a woven canopy, plucking a lone string so that its single note hangs in the air. Passers-by slow their steps to listen, drawn into the music's stillness. In that suspended moment, you meet the teaching of concentrated presence. A single heartfelt tone can open 1,000 hearts. You stop and close your eyes, letting the melody wash through you. Each vibration reminding you that sound and silence arise together. What note will you contribute to life's unfolding symphony? Leaving the market square, you turn into a shaded lane where lanterns have been strung between low cottages. Their glow mingles with the morning light, symbolizing the teaching of shared illumination, that every life you touch carries a spark of your own light. You pass by a simple shrine tucked into a garden corner where a wooden plaque reads, "Gratitude." You bow to its quiet invitation, closing your eyes to offer thanks for each encounter: the baker's loaf, the potter's vessel, the musician's song that has woven you more deeply into this living tapestry. From the shrine, a narrow footpath leads you up a gentle slope to a quiet grove of pines. Needles carpet the ground in a thick, fragrant bed, and you kneel to place your hands upon the earth. In that contact, you feel the teaching of rooted awareness. Though you walk many paths, you remain grounded in the same essential ground of being. You rise and stand among the tall trunks, letting their silent company guide you back toward your own center, ever reminding you that home is not a distant place, but the gentle stillness you carry within. You leave the pine grove and descend a gentle slope into a sun-dappled clearing where a family of deer grazes among wildflowers. Their calm presence speaks without words, an unspoken teaching of harmonious coexistence. You pause, holding your breath, so as not to startle them, and sense how their quiet grace ripples through the air, inviting your own heart to move without disturbance. What calm presence will you bring into your next meeting? Beyond the clearing, a narrow footbridge spans a lily-covered pond. You cross it slowly, letting each board's soft creak remind you of the teaching of humble vulnerability, that even our slightest movement shapes the world. On the far side, a winding lane of stamped earth leads you to a simple shrine built beneath an ancient willow. The shrine's single incense burner smolders with pale fragrance. You kneel, bow, and place a hand atop your heart, honoring the sacred in all that is ordinary. Rising, you follow a moss-lined path that curves between low-hanging branches into a hidden glade. Here, sunlight filters through emerald leaves in shifting patterns, as though the forest itself breathes in light and exhales shadow. You stand motionless, letting the dance of sunbeams and shade become a moving meditation. In their interplay, you discover the teaching of dynamic stillness. True peace moves with life, not against it. You draw a deep breath, absorbing the glade's luminous hush. Then step forward once more into the gentle unfolding of your day. You emerge from the hidden glade onto a sunlit terrace, edged with low stone walls, where the air carries the soft hum of bees tending clusters of lavender and thyme. You step among the blossoms, letting their fragrant breeze brush your face and open your senses. In each inhalation, you meet the teaching of receptive presence, that nature's medicine flows freely to those who draw near without agenda. You pause to cup a handful of lavender, letting its cooling scent settle in your chest, and choose to carry this calm into every breath that follows. Ahead, a narrow stair of worn flagstones climbs toward a vine-draped arbor. You ascend each footfall, a gentle reminder of the teaching of mindful ascent. Progress may be measured not by speed, but by the clarity you bring to each step. At the arbor's peak, you find a simple wooden bench overlooking a rolling meadow where poppies sway like flickering flames. You sit and let the panorama pour into your heart, feeling how perspective widens when you move beyond familiar ground. What new possibility opens when you lift your gaze? Rising once more, you follow a deer trail that threads between tall grasses toward a distant grove of silver birches. Their trunks gleam in the afternoon light as though painted with moonbeams. You step beneath their canopy and feel the teaching of inner light. Even in bright day, the trees hold a quiet luminescence within. You place a hand on the nearest trunk, letting its steady pulse infuse your own rhythm with serene confidence. With that shared calm, you continue onward, each moment carrying you deeper into the living story of presence and peace. A soft path of moss and fallen needles leads you onward as the afternoon sun filters through the high canopy, painting shifting patterns at your feet. You walk without haste, each footfall a deliberate blessing upon the earth, embodying the teaching of sacred passage that every step can be an offering when taken with full awareness. What blessing will you leave with each motion as you move through your day? The path opens onto a quiet spring house tucked beneath an overhang of stalwart rock. A cool draft drifts from within, carrying the scent of mineral-tinged water. You kneel at the low stone basin and cup your hands, drawing up the spring's pure flow. As the coolness fills you, you perceive the teaching of inner purity. When your intentions are clear, your actions follow in unblemished clarity. You drink deeply, letting the water's stillness settle into your heart. Rising, you follow a carved stone trough that channels the spring's overflow into a small reflecting pool. You peer into its glassy surface and see your own gaze meet your eyes, calm and unguarded. In that reflected moment, you meet the teaching of honest self-seeing, that true growth begins when you look without judgment. You bow your head in silent acknowledgement, carrying this clarity into every encounter that awaits. Continuing along the trough, you pass beneath an arch of vine-woven branches, heavy with ripe berries. You pause to taste one, its sweetness bursting bright upon your tongue. In that single flavor, you touch the teaching of savoring, how the simplest joys fully experienced can nourish the spirit more deeply than grand feats. You pick another berry for the road, letting its warmth accompany you, as you walk into the next chapter of your day, each moment an unfolding path of mindful presence. You follow the berry-laden arch until it opens onto a shaded lane where fallen leaves carpet the ground in russet and gold. The air here is tinged with the faint smoke of distant hearth fires, and each inhale brings warmth into your chest. Ahead, a low stone bridge arches over a babbling brook. You pause at its center, leaning on the mossy railing as you listen to water dancing over smooth stones. In that living music, you discover the teaching of resilient flow obstacles become art when surrendered to the stream's quiet persistence. You touch the railing and let its cool surface steady your heart, then step off and continue onward. Beyond the bridge, the path climbs through a grove of apple trees heavy with fruit. You reach upward to pluck a sun-warmed apple and feel gratitude for nature's generosity. Holding it in your hands, you recall the teaching of aligned intention, that when desire meets, offering gratitude blossoms. You bite into the crisp, flesh-tasting sweetness woven with tart clarity and let its flavor remind you that every choice can awaken appreciation. With the last bite, you cast the core into soft earth as an offering to what nurtures you next. What quiet wisdom will guide your steps as you carry this simple gratitude into the day's unfolding journey? You stand amid the fallen cores and feel the earth's soft gift, in return an invitation to plant seeds of intention wherever you go. You rise and follow a winding lane that leads you past a humble shrine draped in morning's mist. A lone bell hangs within. You lift the wooden striker and let it fall. The bell's clear tone ripples outward, touching every leaf and stone. In that resonant sound, you meet the teaching of mindful release. Each moment rings true when you let go and trust its unfolding. You bow to the shrine and continue on, carrying the bell's echo within. Ahead, the path opens onto a sunlit courtyard where artisans sit, carving wood and weaving silk. You pause to watch their hands move with quiet devotion, each stroke and weave, embodying the teaching of dedicated practice. Mastery grows through patient repetition. You ask one weaver to show you a simple knot. She smiles and guides your fingers, and in that shared gesture, you sense the teaching of mutual learning. Wisdom deepens when hearts teach as well as receive. You thank her, not the silk around your wrist, and walk on with that bond of understanding. As midday light warms the stones beneath your feet, you arrive at a stone pavilion beside a lotus pond. You sit on its cool ledge and watch the blossoms open their petals, unfurling in perfect silence. In their gentle bloom, you discover the teaching of natural timing. Every unfolding has its own pace, and forcing yields only missed grace. You rest in the pavilion's shade, letting the lotus's calm presence remind you that whenever you feel pushed, simply return to your own rhythm. From the pavilion, a narrow bridge leads you across the pond to a grove of maples already tinged with autumn's flame. You step among their drifting leaves and feel the teaching of seasonal wisdom, that change, though inevitable, can be met with gratitude for every color it brings. You catch a single ember-red leaf on your sleeve and carry its warmth like a promise that even farewells hold their own beauty. Continuing beneath the maples, you find your way back to the village gate where your journey began. The lanterns overhead glow faintly in the afternoon light, as though echoing your own inner flame. You pause and press a hand to your heart, feeling the collection of teachings, release practice timing, change woven into your day. And as you step beyond the gate into whatever awaits next, you carry these quiet seeds within you, ready to blossom in every peaceful act and mindful breath. You cross the village gate and follow a narrow lane that winds between stone houses draped in creeping ivy. Sunlight filters through the leaves, dappling the cobblestones in shifting patterns of light and shadow. You pause to trace a finger along a carved doorway, lintel its worn relief, showing a lotus blooming from mud, a silent reminder that beauty arises from humble beginnings. What humble seed of kindness might you nurture today, so it too can blossom? Ahead, the lane curves into a small square where a fountain trickles from a single spout into a shallow basin. You kneel and place your palm beneath the cool stream, letting its flow remind you of the teaching of continuous generosity. Water gives without counting. You lift your hand and let the droplets scatter back into the basin, each one a tiny gift returned. How might you offer even the smallest kindness in your next encounter? Leaving the square, you find a narrow alley lined with low benches carved from olive wood. You sit and watch a gentle breeze stir the market's distant clamor into soft murmur. In the bench's quiet embrace, you sense the teaching of receptive stillness. Sometimes the greatest growth happens when you simply listen. You close your eyes and let the world's faint sounds weave into your breath, each inhale drawing in wisdom, each exhale releasing tension. When you open your eyes again, a small door at the alley's end beckons you inside a hidden courtyard. Lanterns sway overhead, their light softening the afternoon's warmth. In the center, a single bonsai stands on a moss-covered pedestal. You approach and inspect its tiny branches, marveling at how the gardener's careful pruning guides each twist and turn. In that living miniature, you meet the teaching of gentle guidance. True growth flourishes when shaped with patience and respect. What small guidance might you offer yourself as you continue? You stand and step through an open arch into a corner garden where honeybees hum among thyme and rosemary. You stoop to brush your fingertips across a lavender stalk, its fragrance drifting like a healing balm. In that sweet breath, you uncover the teaching of self-care. Tending to your own well-being allows you to serve the world more fully. You inhale the lavender's calm, letting its quiet peace settle into your chest, then rise refreshed and ready to walk onward into the unfolding day. You step away from the lavender's calming embrace and follow a winding path edged with mossy stones that leads into a grove of plum trees heavy with ripening fruit. The air here is sweet with their promise, and you pause to gently twist a single plum from its branch. Holding it close, you sense the teaching of ripe timing, that every fruit bears its own readiness and must be honored in its season. You bite into its tender flesh, savoring the burst of sweet tart juice, and letting its richness remind you to recognize your own moments of fullness. With the plum's sweetness still on your tongue, you continue deeper into the grove until the path opens onto a small clearing where a low wooden bench sits beside a weathered well. You sit and peer into its dark water, watching as sunlight dances across the ripples. In that reflection, you discover the teaching of inner reflection. When you look within with honesty, you see both light and shadow as part of a whole. You draw back bow to the well's quiet wisdom and stand prepared to carry this clarity forward. Rising, you follow a narrow trail that climbs uphill toward a simple stone lantern perched on a rocky outcrop. Each step up feels like a breath drawn more fully, and as you reach the lantern, you rest a hand on its cool surface. In the hush of altitude, you hear only wind and your own steady heartbeat, a living reminder of the teaching of elevated perspective, where the wider view dissolves petty worries. You gaze across the valley below, offering gratitude for each teaching you have gathered, and descend with your heart lightened by the promise of new insight awaiting around every bend. You descend the rocky outcrop and follow a sun-warmed path that winds through fields of golden wheat swaying like ocean waves. With each step, you meet the teaching of rhythmic surrender, that when you move in harmony with life's own pulse effort, gives way to flow. You pause to run your hand along the rippling stalks, feeling their gentle push and pull, and let your own breath fall into step with theirs. Ahead, the path leads you to a low stone bridge spanning a lazy river. You sit at its edge, dangling your feet in the water and watching sunlight scatter in dancing prisms. In that play of light, you touch the teaching of joyful presence, how delight arises when you open fully to simple pleasures. You laugh softly at a passing fish's splash and linger until the warmth of afternoon beckons you onward. Standing, you cross the bridge and follow a narrow lane bordered by iris and poppy. Their vibrant blooms nod in silent greeting, reminding you of the teaching of colorful possibility, that every day can unfold new hues when you bring curiosity to each moment. You bend to inhale the iris's dew-kissed petals, then step forward, resolute to paint your own path with mindful wonder. You continue along the flower-bordered lane until it opens onto a sun-dappled grove of olive trees, their gnarled trunks bearing witness to countless seasons. You pause beneath one sturdy branch and press your palm into its weathered bark, feeling the teaching of enduring presence, that deep roots sustain even the most tempestuous storms. You inhale the subtle hint of brine on the breeze, recalling that resilience often grows in silent places. Leaving the grove, you follow a winding path that leads you to a meadow of wild grasses dotted with delicate daisies. A gentle wind carries their laughter-like rustle, inviting you to dance with abandon. You lift your arms and twirl slowly among the blooms, embodying the teaching of playful freedom, that even in stillness the heart can move. As you spin, you let go of every yesterday and tomorrow, arriving fully in the joy of now. When your dance subsides, you find yourself at the edge of a still pond framed by willow branches. You settle on a fallen log and gaze into the mirrored water, watching cloud shapes drift lazily across its surface. In this serene reflection, you discover the teaching of clear seeing, that peace arises when the mind mirrors the world without distortion. You close your eyes and let the pond's quiet guide your own thoughts into gentle alignment. Rising at last, you follow a narrow exit path that curves back toward the village's humble gate. Each step carries the echoes of olive groves, flower dances, and mirrored stillness within your bones. As you approach the gate, its lanterns glow in welcome once more, and you pause to bow deeply in gratitude for every encounter, every lesson, and every breath that has woven you into this living tapestry of wisdom. Then, with a calm heart and open spirit, you step beyond, ready to meet whatever wonders the coming hours may bring. You step beyond the gate into a sunlit lane, where grapevines climb trellises high above their clusters heavy with promise. Sunlight filters through leaves, casting lace-like shadows at your feet. You pause to touch a plump grape, its cool skin yielding under your fingertip. In that sweet touch, you recall the teaching of ripened readiness. Every harvest arrives exactly when it's meant. You pop the grape into your mouth, its juice a burst of summer's warmth, and let its flavor awaken your gratitude for life's perfect timing. Continuing on, the lane widens into a long courtyard where artisans display woven baskets, carved wooden bowls, and hand-forged metal tools. You wander among them, marveling at how each handcrafted piece embodies the teaching of generous craft. True beauty arises when utility and love are woven together. A blacksmith offers you a small iron key he's forged. You accept it with a nod, feeling its cool weight as a symbol of doors yet to open. You follow a narrow passage beyond the courtyard to discover a hidden alcove shaded by flowering bougainvillea. Sunlight glimmers through vivid petals overhead. In the center, a simple stone basin overflows with fragrant rose petals floating atop clear water. You kneel, dipping your fingers into the perfumed waters, meeting the teaching of gentle renewal that every touch can cleanse and restore. You close your eyes, inhaling the roses' soft perfume, and when you rise, you carry their quiet grace into all you do next. A gentle breeze stirs the bougainvillea's petals as you step away from the rose basin, guiding you onto a winding trail that climbs toward a grassy knoll crowned by a lone cedar. Each footfall on the soft earth feels like a blessing, and you pause halfway to rest your hand on a smooth stone marker carved with the kanji for renewal. In that silent moment, you touch the teaching of continuous becoming, that every step forward shapes who you are becoming. You inhale the morning air, letting its crisp clarity infuse your resolve, and rise to continue toward the cedar's watchful presence, carrying renewal in each breath. You step away from the cedar's embrace and begin your descent along a gently winding path, the valley's light-spilling warmth onto moss-dusted stones. Each careful footfall reminds you of the teaching of mindful descent, that returning to everyday life can be as sacred as the climb itself. You let your mind settle into the rhythm of movement, inhaling the valley's mosaic of scents, ripening fruit, sun-warmed earth, distant incense, each a subtle invitation to stay present. Midway down, you pass a small shrine tucked beneath a rocky overhang. Its simple wooden beams support a single bell, weathered by wind and time. You pause to strike the bell with a light touch, listening to its clear tone fade into the valley's gentle hum. In that echo, you perceive the teaching of carried resonance, that every sound you make, every word, leaves an imprint beyond the moment it was spoken. You bow in gratitude and press onward, your heart ringing with silent clarity. Further along the path opens onto a terraced garden where tea plants stretch in neat rows toward the sun. A gardener kneels to pluck a fresh bud, offering it to you with a nod. You accept the tea leaf and hold it in your palm, sensing the teaching of shared harvest, that bounty multiplies when gifts are exchanged in kindness. You roll the leaf between your fingers, inhaling its green fragrance, and tuck it safely in your pocket as a reminder of this shared generosity. As you continue, the terraces give way to a narrow stream fed by mountain runoff. You pause at its bank to wash your hands and face in its cool clarity, feeling the teaching of present purification. Each moment offers a chance to refresh body and mind. You let the waters flow, carry away any remnants of fatigue or worry, and stand renewed, ready to meet the day that awaits below. Finally, you reach the valley floor, where a familiar lane leads you back toward home. The morning bustle has begun. Distant laughter, the clip-clop of cartwheels, the scent of freshly baked bread drifting through open windows. Yet within you, the valley's teachings remain steadfast presence, mindful descent, carried resonance, shared harvest, and present purification. With every step along this familiar road, you carry these lessons like lanterns in your heart, ready to illuminate whatever encounters the day may bring. You pause at the edge of your own doorstep, the familiar contours of home greeting you as an old friend. The soft clatter of dishes from within mingles with the distant calls of neighbors beginning their day. You take a moment to inhale deeply, recalling the teaching of gentle return that after every journey home awaits your presence as a place of rest and renewal. With this breath, you cross your threshold, feeling the valley's quiet wisdom settle into the rooms you know so well. Inside, sunlight streams through lace curtains, illuminating motes of dust that dance like tiny lanterns. You move slowly through each space, pressing a hand to the cool wooden banister, greeting the worn cushion on your favorite chair, tracing the curve of the teapot on its shelf, each touch an homage to the sacred in the everyday. In these simple domestic rhythms, you meet the teaching of wholehearted presence. True sanctuary arises when every gesture, no matter how small, is offered with full attention and care. You carry your pocket's tea leaf to the kitchen counter and brew a fresh cup, inhaling its green warmth as you watch the steam spiral upward. With each sip, you let the valley's lessons, steadfast presence, mindful descent, carried resonance, shared harvest, present purification, gentle return, and wholehearted presence infuse your heart. And now, as the day unfolds in ordinary moments made extraordinary by your awareness, you continue to walk the path of presence, each step a living reflection of the wisdom gathered along the way. You settle into your chair by the window, cupping the warm teacup between your palms like a cherished friend. Outside, the garden's lilies sway in the gentle morning breeze, their petals nodding in silent greeting. You inhale the tea's vapor and feel the teaching of inner ceremony, that even the simplest pause can become a sacred ritual when held with intention. With this quiet ceremony, you prepare to step into each unfolding moment, mindful, present, and carried by the valley's enduring grace. You lift your teacup and set it gently on the saucer, its warmth lingering in your fingers as you rise to tend the potted ferns along the windowsill. Each leaf you touch is a living canvas of green, softly cupped, gently furled. In the way you mist their fronds with water, you meet the teaching of attentive care. Life flourishes when attention is offered without haste. You pause to watch droplets bead along each frond, then drift away, and carry this patient tending into the moments ahead. Turning from the plants, you move to your writing desk, where a single sheet of paper awaits. You lift your pen and let it hover, recalling the teaching of mindful expression that words become bridges when shaped by calm intention. You begin to write a few lines of gratitude for the day's blessings, the cedar's strength, the lotus's timing, the village's shared warmth. With each stroke, you feel the valley's wisdom flowing through your hand, weaving quiet insight into the simple act of inscription. A soft chime of the doorbell draws your attention, and you rise to greet a neighbor bearing fresh bread wrapped in linen. Their warm smile and gift embody the teaching of mutual kindness, that generosity nourishes both giver and receiver. You accept the bread with a gracious bow, share a few moments of conversation carried on genuine interest, and feel the threads of community strengthening around you. As you see them off, you carry their kindness into your heart, knowing each encounter builds the tapestry of belonging. Returning to your seat, you place a slice of the bread on a small plate and savor each bite, slowly tasting not only its flavor, but the care of fields and hands that brought it to you. In this simple meal, you rest in the teaching of full presence, that eating becomes meditation when each morsel is honored. You wash your plate with quiet reverence, and lay it aside, ready to meet the next unfolding moment with the same calm intention that guided your journey here. You rise from your chair and step into the courtyard garden, where the morning's warmth has coaxed new buds from camellia bushes. A single blossom, still heavy with dew, catches your eye. You lean in, pressing your palm beneath its head to catch the droplets before they fall. In that careful holding, you meet the teaching of delicate stewardship, that beauty endures when tended with tenderness. You breathe in the camellia's light fragrance and carry its gentle strength into your next task. Across the courtyard, a small fountain plays its soft cadence. You sit on its stone edge legs crossed and let the fountain's lullaby draw your awareness inward. In the circular arc of water, you perceive the teaching of cyclical harmony beginning, feeds, ending, ending, feeds, beginning in an endless flow. You close your eyes, matching each breath to the fountain's rhythm, and rest in the unity of flow and stillness. When you open your eyes, you notice a weathered journal beside you, its leather cover soft with use. You pick it up and run your fingers over its pages, remembering how each written word once carried a seed of insight. You turn to a blank page and allow your thoughts to emerge slowly, notes of gratitude, intentions for the day, reflections on the valley's teachings. In the act of inscription, you touch the teaching of internal dialogue. Clarity arises when you give voice to your inner landscape. A distant call of a cuckoo echoes from the cypress grove beyond the courtyard walls. You stand and follow its song through a shaded archway into a quiet glen, where soft moss invites you to lie down and gaze upward. Above slender branches sway against a blue sky, drawing the teaching of upward reach, that aspiration can coexist with grounded humility. You stretch your arms overhead, feeling the branches' gentle pull, and let this balanced reach infuse your spirit. Rising at last, you walk back toward your doorway, each step guided by the morning's gentle choreography. The world hums with life's simple abundance, the fountain's song, the camellia's scent, the cuckoo's call, the moss's cushion. Carrying each teaching within you, open your door and step into the next chapter, ever anchored in presence, ever attuned to the quiet wisdom woven through every encounter. You cross the threshold into your home and pause in the entryway, feeling the teaching of threshold awareness that every passage between spaces invites a moment of choice. You shake off a stray leaf from your sleeve, bowing softly to acknowledge the journey behind and the one ahead. In the kitchen, sunlight warms the wooden countertop, where a vase of freshly cut wildflowers stands. You arrange the blooms with intuitive care, each stem's placement reflecting the teaching of intuitive harmony. When you trust your inner sense, beauty unfolds naturally. You step back to admire the arrangement, letting its quiet splendor remind you that artistry lives in everyday gestures. Turning to the window, you peer out at the garden beyond and notice a single sparrow perched on the railing. Its bright eye meets yours in a silent greeting. You smile, sensing the teaching of reciprocal recognition that every living being bears consciousness deserving of respect. The sparrow flutters away, and you carry its lively spirit into your heart. You move next to your desk, where the journal lies open to the page you began this morning. You add a final line. May each step I take today be an offering of presence. In writing this vow, you embody the teaching of committed intention. Clarity becomes action when recorded with sincerity. Finally, you collect your coat and step once more into the courtyard's soft light, ready to meet the world beyond your walls. With each breath, you carry the valley's teachings, steadfast presence, mindful descent, carried resonance, shared harvest, present purification, gentle return, wholehearted presence, sacred passage, threshold, awareness, intuitive harmony, reciprocal recognition, committed intention, woven like a living garland around your spirit. And as you walk toward whatever awaits, your heart remains anchored in the peace that blooms from simple, attentive being. You step beyond the courtyard into a sunlit lane where the scent of freshly turned earth drifts from nearby fields. Each inhale brings you closer to the teaching of grounded renewal, that even the smallest act of tending soil fosters new life. You pause at the field's edge and trace a finger along the furrowed earth, feeling its cool firmness beneath your palm. What seed of intention will you plant today, trusting it will take root in patient time? Continuing onward, you come upon a humble workshop where an elderly weaver sits at a hand loom, her fingers dancing across threads of indigo and gold. She glances up, nods, and motioning you closer, lets you feel the fabric's supple weave. In that touch, you meet the teaching of crafted continuity that every tradition carries forward through gentle, attentive hands. You offer a smile and gratitude, honoring the unbroken stitch that binds past to present. Leaving the workshop, You follow a narrow stream lined with smooth pebbles that invite barefoot passage. You slip off your shoes and let the cool water flow over your feet, each stone's smooth surface a silent instruction in acceptance. In this liquid embrace, you discover the teaching of adaptive grace. When you yield to the current, obstacles become pathways. You rise refreshed, the stream's clarity echoing in your bones. Ahead, a path of lanterns leads into a blossoming orchard, where the afternoon light filters through heavy branches laden with fruit. You wander between trunks, each lantern's glow reminding you of the teaching of illuminated practice, that every moment can shine its own gentle light. You reach for an apple, its skin warm and firm, and press it to your heart in silent thanks for the simple sweetness life offers. With the orchard's warmth carrying you, you continue along a winding trail back toward home, each step guided by the valley's enduring wisdom, planting intention, honoring continuity, embracing grace, and illuminating every passing moment with mindful presence. You follow the apple-scented breeze as it drifts down a quiet lane toward the old stone bridge, where wild violets nod among the cracks. You pause at its center, resting your palms on the cool railing and feeling the teaching of firm support, that sometimes the strongest help arrives in the simplest forms. Below, the river's gentle flow reminds you of life's steady continuity. You bow your head in gratitude for every unseen support roots, rocks, and rivers alike that carry you through each turning of the day. Crossing the bridge, you step into a sun-washed courtyard where a single jasmine vine winds around a column. You trace its spiraling growth with your fingertips, meeting the teaching of organic unfolding, that every life blooms in its own time and pattern. You inhale the jasmine's heady sweetness, letting it weave calm through your thoughts. Before you leave, you turn once more to the valley beyond its patchwork fields and winding paths shimmering in the golden light. You breathe deeply and feel the valley's teachings, steadfast presence, shared harvest, graceful release, and all the rest settle into your bones like seeds awaiting rain. With that inner garden tended, you step beyond the courtyard gate, ready to bring this living wisdom into every moment that lies ahead. You step down from the jasmine-clad column and follow a narrow alley paved with worn cobblestones, each one smoothed by centuries of footsteps. The gentle tap of your shoes joins the alley's whispered history, reminding you of the teaching of living legacy, that every path you walk carries the echoes of those who came before. Pause now and listen beneath your feet. You feel the pulse of countless journeys converging into your own. At the alley's end, a low wooden door set into a vine-draped wall swings open to reveal a hidden courtyard garden. Lanterns hang from delicate branches overhead, their soft glow mingling with shafts of late afternoon sun. In the garden's center, a weathered stone table holds a single open book of poetry. You approach and run your fingers gently across the pages, meeting the teaching of silent wisdom, that words once written become living guides when approached with reverent curiosity. You settle on a verse at random, reading its lines aloud in a hushed voice, letting the poem's cadence weave its insight into your bone and breath. Leaving the poetry's quiet counsel, you follow a stepping stone path through a bed of chamomile, its tiny flowers lifting their faces as if in greeting. You bend to pick a single bloom, closing your eyes as you inhale its soft apple-like fragrance. In that delicate scent, you discover the teaching of sensory sanctuary, that the senses can open portals to calm centers within. Carrying that chamomile in your heart, you return to your threshold, each footstep a living verse of presence, ready to unfold whatever grace the next moment may bring. You step through your garden's wooden gate and follow a stone path winding past mossy lanterns toward the small tea pavilion you built long ago. The late sun drapes the pavilion in amber light, and you slide open its paper screens to enter. Inside, a single low table holds a steaming kettle and 2 simple cups. You pour hot water into each, listening to its soft hiss as though the kettle itself were whispering gratitude for being of service. In that moment, you encounter the teaching of humble utility, that every tool, every gesture can serve as an offering when guided by sincere heart. Seated cross-legged, you lift a cup, let its warmth seep into your palms, and inhale the fragrant steam. You recall the old story of the village elder who taught that the act of pouring tea was itself a prayer, each drop a silent bow. You close your eyes and taste the tea's gentle bitterness, sweetened by mindful intention. What simple prayer do you offer today, through your own daily acts? When the last cup is emptied, you place it gently back on the table and rise, bowing to the pavilion's quiet space as though it were a sanctuary within your own home. Outside, the garden's shadows lengthen, and a soft breeze rustles bamboo leaves like whispered verses. You follow the breeze down a narrow corridor of lanterns leading to a single chime hung from a cedar beam. You strike it once and watch its vibration settle into stillness, an echo of the teaching that every sound fades into silence, and in that silence lies clear hearing. With the chime's final echo in your chest, you step back into the waning light, carrying the day's gathered wisdom. With you, humble utility, mindful prayer, and clear hearing. Each moment hence becomes a living continuation of this practice, guiding you onward, ever present, ever aware, into the unfolding tapestry of your life. As dusk deepens, you wander back through the garden's winding paths, guided by the soft glow of lanterns, whose warm light dances across the petals of night-blooming jasmine. You pause at the bench beneath the willow's trailing boughs, its low seat cradling you, as though inviting one final moment of reflection. Here, in the gentle hush, you sense the teaching of evening's grace, that each day deserves its own quiet farewell. You inhale the jasmine's perfume one last time, allowing its sweetness to settle into your chest like a cherished memory. Rising, you follow the lantern-lined path to your front door, where a small bowl of water and a folded cloth await. You dip the cloth into the cool water and gently wipe your hands and face, meeting the teaching of sacred cleansing, washing away the day's dust to reveal the clarity beneath. Each stroke of the cloth becomes a silent vow to lay down every worry and rest fully into the present. Inside, you light a single beeswax candle whose soft flame flickers with gentle steadiness. You place it on your bedside table beside a small cup of herbal tea steeped with chamomile and mint. In this simple ritual, you meet the teaching of tender self-care, that preparing the body for rest is as vital as the journey that carried you here. You lift the cup, let its warmth seep through your palms, and sip slowly, savoring each soothing note. Tea finished, you sit on the edge of your bed and lay out a soft robe, its fibers cool against your skin. With deliberate slowness, you change, feeling the weight of just one layered garment support you in its quiet comfort. You step beneath the covers and lie back, heart open to the chamber's stillness. Above you, the candle's flame casts gentle shadows that dance across the ceiling like living ink, tracing the contours of your day's journey. In the hush that follows, you draw your knees toward your chest and wrap your arms around them, fingernails grazing the fabric of your robe. You rock ever so slightly, recalling the cedar's steadfast presence, the lotus's perfect timing, the village's shared warmth. In this final embrace, you touch the teaching of coming home, that the most comforting destination is the still point of your own breath. You release your knees, sink deeper into the mattress, and let your body melt into the bed's soft support. Your eyes close, and you feel the candle's warmth fade into the quiet core of your chest. Each inhale draws in the valley's wisdom. Each exhale releases any last ripple of thought. You rest here between wakefulness and dream, carried by the gentle tide of presence until sleep's tender veil drapes softly across your mind, guiding you into the seamless heart of slumber. In the quiet dark that follows, you feel yourself drifting beyond the world you know, carried by the tender rhythm of breath, into a realm woven of starlight and silent possibility. Here forms soften into luminous mist, and you sense the teaching of boundless imagination, that the mind's eye can wander freely when held by nothing but its own gentle knowing. You float through this soft expanse, each thought dissolving into the next, until only the pure essence of awareness remains. Within this silent tapestry, a single lantern appears bobbing before you on a path of moonlit stones. You follow it without effort, each step light as a feather trusting its unspoken guidance. In the lantern's flame, you see the reflection of your own calm heart, steady, luminous, and unafraid of the vast night. You pause and bow in silent acknowledgement, meeting the teaching of inner illumination, that the true light you seek shines always within. Beyond the lantern, the path leads to a still pool whose surface mirrors the sky's shifting constellations. You kneel at its edge and trace a finger through the water, sending gentle ripples that scatter starlight in dancing patterns. In that motion, you touch the teaching of creative participation, that by lending your touch, you shape the world's unfolding beauty. You smile at the shimmering ripples and let them carry you onward. The pool's reflection shifts to reveal a grove of floating cherry petals, drifting through an endless dusk. You reach out and catch one, its softness warming your palm. In that moment, the grove's whispered refrain fills your senses, embody grace in every form. You inhale the petal's blossom-sweet perfume and let its fragrance infuse your being with gentle purpose. Guided by the grove's hush, You rise and step into softly glowing mist, each footfall silent as you enter a vast hall of arches made of woven light. Within a chorus of distant bells rings in harmony, each tone inviting you deeper into presence. You close your eyes and let the bell's resonance settle into your bones, feeling how every echo opens a space of pure being. At the hall's center, a single stone seat awaits beneath a canopy of shimmering threads. You sit and wrap them around your shoulders like a cloak of starlight, sensing the teaching of cosmic kinship that you are woven into the universe's living tapestry as both weaver and thread. In this embrace, you rest in the seamless unity of all that is. And now, cradled by the hall's silent glow, you drift beyond form and time carried gently into the heart of dream, where every encounter, every breath, every ripple of light becomes a seed of wisdom sown deep in your soul, ready to awaken anew whenever you return. A soft wind of starlight stirs the woven threads around you, lifting their luminescence in silent wave. You rise from the stone seat and find yourself upon a path of silver dust that arcs between floating lanterns, each one pulsing with a heartbeat of gentle light. With every step, you sense the teaching of rhythmic unity, breath, footfall, lantern, glow, all move as one living song. You walk without thought, carried by the melody of presence, until the path opens into a vast expanse of twilight flowers, whose petals glow like embers in a boundless sky. You kneel among them, pressing a palm to the soft ground and feeling its warm pulse beneath the myriad blooms. In that touch, you meet the teaching of earthly kinship, that even amid cosmic wonder, your roots reach deep into the soil of now. A single blossom unfurls at your side, its light weaving into your cells like a whispered promise. You close your eyes, allowing its warmth to spread through every sinew, and breathe the night's infinite grace into your core. When you open your eyes, the flowers have led you to a reflective pool of liquid starlight. You rise and step onto its surface, which holds you effortlessly, as though you were the very essence of the cosmos itself. Each ripple you create sends waves of light across the horizon of your awareness, touching corners of your mind that long for gentle expansion. You pause at the pool's center, feeling gravity fall away, and surrender fully to the boundless expanse that both surrounds and inhabits you. And here, in this seamless union of earth and sky form and formlessness, you rest carried beyond dreaming, beyond waking, into the timeless heart of presence, where every breath is the universe's own soft exhale. A gentle luminescence surrounds you as you drift from the pool's edge, carried by invisible currents of stardust. The floating lanterns rise to greet you, their soft light, weaving constellations in the air, each a whisper of guidance from being seen and unseen. You follow their silent choreography along a path of woven moonbeams until at last you arrive before a simple arch carved of living crystal. Stepping through, you enter a chamber of infinite mirrors, each reflecting a different facet of your own calm presence, no reflection more true than another, yet all shimmering with the same quiet radiance. You stand in the chamber's heart arms, open as though embracing the full spectrum of your being, your kindness and your strength, your stillness and your joy. In this embrace, you meet the teaching of complete acceptance that every aspect of who you are is an integral note in the song of existence. From the mirror chamber, you pass into a vast garden of silver bamboo, whose stalks hum with celestial wind. You walk between them, your fingertips brushing each slender cane, and sense the teaching of attuned harmony when you move in concert with life's subtle breath. Every rustle becomes a sacred verse. At the garden's heart, a single bamboo flute hangs from a low branch. You lift it, bring it to your lips, and let a single, pure note emerge, a call that resonates through the cosmos and back again. In that echo, you feel the boundary between self and universe dissolve, leaving only the boundless heart that carries every lesson, every lantern, every breath you've drawn. You release the flute back to its branch and step forward, guided by the music you have become, into the endless night, where rest and waking converge, where every moment is both departure and return, dream and reality intertwined. Here at this final threshold, you surrender to the teaching of seamless transition. There is nowhere to go, nothing to become. You breathe in the starlit air one last time, and as you exhale, the world enfolds you in gentle stillness. A soft ripple of celestial wind carries you onward from the mirror chamber, guiding you through a veil of silvery mist into a clearing where dawn and starlight mingle in delicate balance. There, a single marble basin stands atop a spiral pedestal, its surface smooth as glass. You kneel and dip your fingertips into the cool water, feeling its lucid calm echo the teaching of poised balance, that light and dark effort and ease, rest and wakefulness all dance together in harmony. You lift your hand and watch droplets scatter like tiny moons, each one a promise of wholeness in every fragment. Rising, you follow a winding ramp of pale stone that curves upward into the sky, its gentle slope neither too steep nor too gradual. Each step feels supported by an unseen hand, reminding you of the teaching of grace underfoot. When the way is met with trust, every ascent becomes a sacred offering. You climb until the ramp levels at an open terrace ringed by softly glowing runes. There you pause to trace a circle in the air with your palm, completing the rune of return. In that silent gesture, you acknowledge that every outward journey leads inevitably back to the quiet sanctuary of your own heart. Before you lie two doors, one of polished moonstone, the other of warm oak. You sense the teaching of deliberate choice light and intuition reason, and feeling each path valid in its own right. With calm intention, you place one hand on each door at once, allowing their subtle energies to weave together in your palm. And then, in a single breath, you step through both into a space beyond duality, where every boundary dissolves and you rest simply as presence itself. A gentle warmth envelops you as you emerge beyond the twin doors, finding yourself in a boundless meadow where every blade of grass shimmers with dew like countless tiny stars. You stand without need for motion, feeling the soft earth's pulsation beneath your feet, a subtle heartbeat that echoes your own. Here in this field of luminous quiet, you sense the teaching of limitless ground. Beneath every form and every thought lies the one support that never falters. You breathe deeply, letting that soundless rhythm infuse your being and rest in the meadow's tender expanse. In the meadow's gentle glow, you notice a single trail of petals winding toward a distant horizon where sky and earth blend in soft gold. You follow the trail, each petal a testament to fleeting beauty held with care. With every step, you meet the teaching of mindful journey, how even the smallest markers can guide you across vast spaces. As you walk, the petals shift beneath your feet into glowing motes that rise like fireflies around you, illuminating the meadow's boundless reach. In their silent dance, you hear the teaching of graceful expansion. That inner light once kindled spreads effortlessly through every corner of your awareness. At the trail's end, you arrive before a solitary oak standing in serene welcome. Its trunk is carved not with words, but with the memory of centuries. You press your palm to the bark, feeling its deep wisdom pulse beneath your touch. In that moment, you realize that every lesson, every lantern, every breath, every ripple of reflection has led you here to the infinite simplicity of presence. Turning away from the oak, the meadow fades into soft mist, and you find yourself drifting gently across the threshold of sleep, heart open, mind at ease, carried on the tender current of your own breath. And here, in the space between waking and dreaming, you rest. You linger beside the lantern's glow. As the soft shadow of night deepens around you, the flame's warmth, a gentle anchor in the dream's shifting currents. Beyond the lantern petals, drift upward like living sparks, carrying you aloft on their silent wings. You rise with them weightless and float through an archway of woven moonbeams into a vault of midnight sky. Here stars wheel in silent choreography, each one a quiet sentinel of possibility. You stretch out your arms and feel their distant light brush against your fingertips, an electric whisper of the teaching that every spark of awareness has the power to illuminate the vast unknown. You allow yourself to spin slowly among them, your breath synchronized with the cosmos' silent pulse. As your spinning slows the stars part to reveal a single glowing orb hovering at the center of the sky. You reach toward it, and it drifts down into your palm, cool, radiant, and humming with gentle energy. In holding it, you encounter the teaching of inner source. The light you seek in the world shines first within your own heart. You close your hand around the orb, and its glow settles into your chest, a steady flame of knowing. With the orb's warmth guiding you, you drift away from the starry vault into a vast lake of liquid silver. Its surface ripples with the echo of distant thunder, soft and rhythmic. You lie upon the mirrored water, the orb's light cradling you, and watch as thunder blossoms into a pattern of ripples that spiral outward, each ring carrying the teaching of resonant harmony. Every reverberation shapes the dance of the whole. In that gentle rocking, you drift beyond form, beyond sound, into the seamless expanse where dream and presence converge. And here, as the silver lake reflects both stars and lantern, you surrender to the quiet cradle of sleep, carried on the soft exhale of the universe itself. Beneath the silver lake's mirrored surface, you feel yourself drifting into a subterranean realm of molten starlight. Here the boundaries between water and sky dissolve, and you float in a gentle current that carries you through tunnels of glowing crystal. Each facet refracts the orb's light into dancing rainbows, meeting the teaching of luminous reflection that your own inner glow, when held tenderly, refracts outward to color every corner of experience. The current guides you upward into a grove of ancient willows whose hanging branches dip into pools of liquid moon. You rise to stand among them, the orb's steady flame illuminating their silvery leaves. With each sway of branch and each pulse of light, you sense the teaching of cyclical support. Every living form both gives and receives in endless reciprocity. You reach out to brush a willow strand, feeling the soft connection between your palm and its silken leaf. From the willow grove, a narrow moonlit path appears paved with polished shells that sing softly beneath your footsteps. You follow this path until you arrive at a low stone arch engraved with the single word, awake. Stepping through, you feel time curve, gently carrying you back along the dream's ribbon to the edge of your own bed, where the orb's glow now nestles like a heartbeat against your chest. Here at the threshold between sleep and waking, you rest for a moment in perfect stillness, aware of the orb's steady warmth, the lantern's memory, and every ripple of presence that has guided you through this journey. And in that silent pause, you hold the teaching of seamless return, that every dream, every breath brings you home to the tender sanctuary of your own heart, ever ready to awaken in peace. A tender hush settles as the orb's glow fades into the soft light of dawn, brushing across your eyelids. You lie still, feeling the last echoes of the dream's currents ebb gently through your limbs. In this fragile moment between night's retreat and day's return, you sense the teaching of quiet emergence, that every awakening unfolds from the same deep well of presence that lay beneath your slumber. Slowly, you stretch and turn, bringing awareness first to your fingertips, then to your toes, until your whole body feels renewed by the orb's gentle flame. You rise and sit on the edge of your bed, cradling your own breath as though it were a fragile lantern. In that solemn moment, you meet the teaching of joined cycles, sleep's soft cradle, and waking's bright promise spin together in an endless dance. Stepping from your room, you carry the dream's final grace within you, its luminous reflections, whispered ripples, and the orb's steady warmth, like a secret ember nestled against your heart. And as you move into the living world, each footstep becomes both farewell and greeting, weaving the dream's quiet wisdom into every unfolding breath of your day. You step into the morning's pale glow, carrying the dream's final grace within you like a quiet ember. Each breath you draw feels infused with the night's soft wisdom, its ripples still echoing through your chest. As you cross the threshold of your door, the world greets you with gentle light and familiar sounds. Birdsong, rustling leaves, distant laughter, each one a deliberate invitation to presence. With every footfall, you feel the teaching of embodied return, the peace you found in dream lives, here too woven into waking life's simplest details. A shaft of sunlight warms your cheek, reminding you of the orb's inner flame. A breeze stirs the curtains, recalling the willow's swaying grace. And as you move through your day, preparing tea, greeting neighbors, tending tasks, you carry the seamless flow of night's lantern-lit path into every moment. And now, wherever your steps lead, may you walk with the quiet certainty that every ending is a new beginning, every breath a soft exhale of the universe itself, and every moment an unfolding lantern guiding you gently home. You carry the morning's ember into your daily flow, letting its warmth guide each gesture as you prepare your midday meal. In the kitchen's soft light, you wash fresh vegetables, their green edges crisp beneath your fingertips, meeting the teaching of simple nourishment, where every ingredient offers its quiet vitality. As water trickles from the tap, you let its clear song remind you of the spring's flowing clarity, washing each leaf in mindful reverence. At the table, you arrange the meal with care bowls and plates aligned in gentle symmetry. You sit and breathe in the aroma of steam rising from broth and grains, tasting the teaching of shared table that communion need not require. Company for presence itself is the truest companion. With each bite, you note flavor and texture, sweetness, salt, warmth, coolness, all weaving together into a tapestry of embodied gratitude. After eating, you clear the table and step into your study, where sunlight falls across pages of half-written notes. You pick up your pen, recalling the teaching of ongoing creation, that every thought sown with intention blooms in time. You jot a line of reflection on yesterday's path and today's promise, letting your hand move as guided by the inner compass the dream ignited. A gentle chime signals the hour, and you rise to tend the small altar where incense coils smolder in spirals of pale smoke. You bow to your own intentional space and meet the teaching of ritual continuity, how daily rites, however small, anchor the spirit. The fragrant plume drifts upward, carrying your silent vow to remain true to the thread of presence woven through every wakeful hour. Stepping away, you open the window to greet the afternoon sun. A soft breeze stirs the curtains and brings with it the distant laughter of children at play. You inhale the mingled scents of earth and air, touching the teaching of interwoven lives that your calm presence ripples outward, joining countless unseen currents. With a serene smile, you turn back to your tasks, the valley's wisdom enfolded in your bones, guiding every step until the lantern of dusk calls you once more toward that gentle reunion with night's quiet grace. You pause in the late afternoon warmth to walk the winding garden path once more, where ferns unfurl beneath ancient stone ledges. Your fingertips trace their unfurling fronds, and in that slow, deliberate touch, you meet the teaching of receptive unfolding, that every moment carries its own readiness to bloom. You lean into the fern's green warmth, letting its gentle emergence remind you to await your own inner openings without haste. Continuing on, you come upon a moss-covered bench beside a still koi pond, whose surface is now touched by the soft glow of the sinking sun. You sit and watch the fish glide beneath the water's amber reflections, their movements teaching the art of effortless presence, how the gentlest awareness brings even hidden depths to light. You lean forward and whisper a silent vow of kindness to the koi, recognizing how your soft intention resonates through the pond and your own heart alike. Rising at last, you follow a lantern-lit corridor that leads you back to the tea pavilion where the evening kettle waits upon its stone hearth. As you pour hot water over fresh jasmine leaves, you feel the teaching of cyclic return that each day, like each tea ceremony, begins and ends in the same sacred moment. You lift the cup and breathe in the steam's floral sweetness, letting its warmth settle into your bones as dusk settles over the garden. With your cup in hand, you step outside to the terrace overlooking the valley, now painted in twilight hues. You lean on the wooden railing, eyes soft on the fading light, and sense the teaching of inclusive horizon, that even as day ends, its glow remains within your gaze. You close your eyes, drink deeply of the jasmine's calm, and stand poised between light and dark, ready whenever you choose to drift into night's embrace once more. As the jasmine's warmth lingers, you carry your cup back into the courtyard where lanterns now glow like gentle watchfires against the deepening blue of twilight. You set the tea aside on a low stone table and wander beneath a trellis of wisteria. Its pale clusters hang heavy overhead, each blossom's subtle fragrance weaving itself into the dusk air. In their soft perfume, you perceive the teaching of fragrant patience, that beauty ripens in its own time, unfurling precisely when conditions are right. You pause to inhale the wisteria's hush, letting its calm deepen your own. Beyond the trellis, a narrow stone stair descends into a grove of ferns lit by bioluminescent moss clinging to gnarled roots. Each step into the glowing green hush feels like slipping into another world, one where the boundaries between self and forest dissolve in emerald light. You kneel to touch the moss's soft glow, and in that gentle contact, you meet the teaching of hidden radiance, that beauty and wisdom often wait unseen until softly revealed. You let the moss's light warm your palm before rising to continue deeper into the grove. At the grove's center, a shallow pool mirrors the soft green luminescence above. You sit at its edge cross-legged and let your reflection merge with the moss's glow until it becomes impossible to tell where you end and the forest begins. In this seamless melding, you rest in the teaching of non-dual awareness, where subject and object, inner and outer, flow as one continuous poem. You close your eyes and breathe in the mossy lantern light, feeling its gentle frequency hum through your bones. When you open your eyes again, you find a single lotus blossom floating on the pool's surface, its pale petals unfurled in perfect stillness. Drifting forward, you cup the blossom in your hands and lift it to the air as though offering it to the night sky. In this silent offering, you touch the teaching of heartfelt generosity, that every act, however small, carries the power to illuminate the world. You release the lotus, watching it glide back to the center of the pool, and bow deeply to its serene grace before standing once more. Guided by the moss's glow, you retrace your steps up the stone stairs and follow a hidden corridor back toward your chambers. Each lantern you pass flickers in quiet recognition, as though honoring the journey you've just completed. At your doorway, you pause and press your hand against the cool wood, sensing the teaching of grounded return, that every exploration, no matter how mystical, finds its meaning in home's embrace. You step inside, closing the door softly behind you, and let the night's quiet wisdom settle around you like a familiar shawl, ready to carry you once more into sleep's gentle depths whenever you choose to rest. You ease yourself onto your silken futon, feeling the embrace of soft linens cradle each curve of your body. Above you, the lantern's glow dims to a whisper as its flame surrenders to the night's hush. You draw the duvet gently up to your chin, pressing it close as though wrapping yourself in the valley's enduring warmth. In that tender enclosure, you meet the teaching of restorative rest, that true renewal blossoms when the body and mind are allowed to dissolve into cradle-like stillness. Turning onto your side, you rest your cheek against a cushion scented with lavender and cedar, its subtle aroma weaving into your breath like a lullaby. You close your eyes and sense the day's final ripples fade into silent depths. Each inhalation draws in the orchard's sweetness and the forest's cool clarity. Each exhalation releases any trace of striving or unease. In this gentle rhythm, you touch the teaching of seamless surrender, how the final act of awareness is simply to let go and trust the night's compassionate arms. And here, beneath the soft weight of linens and the lull of your own breath, you drift beyond thought, beyond form, into the boundless sanctuary of sleep. Soft darkness gathers its gentle cloak around you as your breath deepens, each inhale a soft bell, each exhale a flowing sigh. In the quiet beyond, thought a distant flute begins to whisper its melody notes, woven of moonlight and memory. You drift toward the sound carried by its tender current, feeling the teaching of unseen guidance that even in your stillness, unseen hands lead you onward. The flute's song draws you through velvet shadows into a hidden courtyard where midnight blooms unfurl under lantern-lit trees. Petals of night-blooming cereus open slowly tiny stars against darkness, teaching you the beauty of rare awakenings, that some insights arrive only in the hush beyond sight. You reach out and let a petal brush your fingertip, its cool softness, a testament to the gift of unobtrusive grace. Beyond the cereus, a low wooden bridge arches over a pool of inky water, so still it feels like liquid silence. You step onto its planks, the wood's warmth a quiet welcome beneath your feet. Midway, you pause and peer into the velvet depths, seeing not only your reflection, but the ripple of starlight beneath the surface. In that double image, you touch the teaching of inner reflection, that every gaze inward becomes a mirror of the cosmos itself. Stepping off the bridge, you follow a narrow path, carpeted with fallen petals, each one glowing faintly like a soft lantern. The path winds between bamboo groves, whose stalks hum with the night's gentle breath. With each step, you sense the teaching of rhythmic harmony. Breath footfall, bamboo's whisper, all intertwining in a silent chant. You flow with the chant, your mind and body, weaving into its cadence until path and pilgrim become one. At the path's end, a circle of smooth stones surrounds a single still flame burning in a shallow brazier. You sit upon the nearest stone and let the flame's warmth wash over you. In the fire's gentle flicker, you perceive the teaching of steady luminosity. That true steadiness shines brightest, not in blaze, but in the quiet ember. You rest in the ember's glow, feeling its calm pulse align with your own, and here, in the soft circle of stone and flame, you surrender fully to the night's embrace, drifting beyond the last edge of story into sleep's infinite storyless realm. Carried by the flute's echo and the flame's gentle heart, a hush of cool night air settles as you rise from the circle of flame, its warmth lingering at the base of your skull like a silent blessing. You follow a narrow corridor of smooth river stones that wind through shadowed bamboo, each footfall echoing like a soft drum beat against the hush. In this rhythmic passage, you meet the teaching of steady forward motion, that even in darkness, purposeful steps carry you toward light. The stones lead you to a fallen log, draped in moonlit moss, inviting you to pause. You sit and trail a fingertip along the velvety green, feeling the teaching of tender patience, that growth unfolds in its own time unseen beneath the surface until it is ready. You lean your head back and let the bamboo above sway in slow, graceful arcs, each rustle whispering the promise of renewal. From the log, a faint glow beckons ahead. You rise and follow its soft pull into a grove where thousands of firefly lanterns drift above a misty pond. Their delicate lights pulse in silent conversation, weaving 1,000 tiny pathways of gold through the darkness. You step to the water's edge and let a single firefly alight upon your fingertip, its warmth a living spark of the teaching that even the smallest light can guide the way out of night. With the firefly's glow in your hand, you step onto a boat shaped from woven reeds, which drifts silently into the pond's embrace. The boat carries you through mist-shrouded lilies and beneath willow boughs that trail like soft veils across the water's mirrored surface. In the boat's gentle rock, you discover the teaching of effortless journey, that when you trust the current, you are born exactly where you need to be. As the boat glides on, the mist parts to reveal a distant shore where an ancient stone lantern stands watch. You disembark and approach its weathered form, pressing both palms against its cool base. In that contact, you sense the teaching of grounded presence, that even in the most ethereal realms, the body's connection to earth remains your anchor. Turning from the lantern, you find a narrow staircase carved into the hillside. You ascend each rise, bringing moonlight to your face until you reach a high terrace overlooking the pond below. You stand at the railing, and the firefly you carried alights upon your shoulder, a living reminder of the light you carry within. You breathe deeply of the night's clear air and let its calm settle into your bones, touching the teaching of inner compass, that wherever you go, you can trust the light within to guide you home. And now, as the terrace's lanterns fade into dawn's first whisper, you step back into the boat one last time. The reeds part beneath its hull, and you drift away from the shore, carried by gentle currents into the soft haze between sleep and waking, cradled by the pond's mirrored stillness, the firefly's promise, and the unwavering glow of your own inner light. Soft dawn light filters through the morning mist as the reed boat glides silently across the pond's mirrored surface. Dew-laden petals drift past, and you reach out to brush their cool softness between your fingers, meeting the teaching of gentle transition that even the most delicate moment carries you from night into day without fanfare. The firefly's glow on your shoulder fades into the growing light, yet you feel its spark still warm within your heart. You guide the boat toward a small wooden dock at the water's edge and step ashore, each footfall soundless on the slick planks. A hush of birdsong rises in the reeds as dragonflies skim the surface, their wings catching the first pale rays of sun. You pause to inhale this chorus of living light, sensing the teaching of shared dawn that every new day unfolds as a collaboration between earth-sky and the life that stirs between. With a serene smile, you fold your hands at your chest, bowing to the world's awakening, and step forward along the misty path, carried ever onward by the soft promise of presence. The mist parts before you as the path winds away from the dock, revealing a grove of silver maples whose leaves tremble like whispered prayers in the newborn breeze. You step beneath their arching boughs, letting each delicate rustle settle over your shoulders like a blessing. In that quiet commotion, you meet the teaching of attentive listening, that every subtle sound, if welcomed, carries the wisdom of the world. You tilt your head and let the maple's low murmur weave into the steady rhythm of your breath. Ahead, the trail curves beside a shallow stream, whose water glints with pale morning light. You kneel on a smooth stone and cup your hand beneath its flow, tasting the stream's cool clarity. In that single sip, you touch the teaching of elemental simplicity. Truth springs eternal when you return to the sources of life. You let the stream's current wash across your palm, releasing any last trace of sleep's residue, and rise fresh as dew on a willow's leaf. Continuing on, you find yourself at the threshold of a small bamboo tea house nestled into the hillside. Its Norin curtain sways gently, beckoning you inward. You step across the tatami and sit upon the floor where a lacquered tea bowl awaits. The host pours fragrant hojicha, its toasty aroma rising in gentle coils. In the careful offering, you discover the teaching of shared ritual, that simple acts performed together become threads binding hearts. You lift the bowl with both hands, bow your thanks, and savor the tea's warm embrace as it settles into your core. When the last drop is gone, you stand and push open the sliding door, carrying the tea house's hush with you back onto the path. A single swallow darts overhead, wings a blur of joyous movement. You watch it disappear into the sky and sense the teaching of effortless flight. That true freedom arises when form and intention merge. You lift your arms in silent affirmation, then continue onward, each step a living prayer, ever guided by the soft clarity of presence. You follow the bamboo tea house's shadow as it stretches along the hillside, guiding you toward a gently sloping meadow dotted with pale daisies that nod in silent greeting. You pause to press your palm against a single daisy's stem, feeling its slender strength beneath your fingers and meeting the teaching of humble resilience that even the smallest life can stand tall through wind and storm. You inhale the meadow's fresh perfume and let its quiet courage steady your heart. Beyond the daisies, a low stone wall marks the entrance to a hidden orchard where pear trees stand in orderly rows, their branches heavy with ripening fruit. You step between them, gathering a cool pear in each hand. The fruit's smooth skin and subtle fragrance speak of the teaching of ripe generosity, that abundance becomes most precious when it is shared without expectation. You offer one pear to the earth below, placing it gently at the tree's roots as a silent gift to the life that sustains all growth. Continuing on, the orchard opens onto a wide plateau where the sky widens to embrace both sunrise and the lingering glow of twilight. You stand at its edge, arms open to the vast expanse, feeling yourself become part of the horizon's gentle curve. In that boundless space, you meet the teaching of expansive heart, that love and awareness know no confines, but flow freely outward and return in unbroken circles. You close your eyes and breathe deeply, letting the plateau's wide calm infuse every cell. From the plateau, a winding stone path leads downward into a valley carpeted with soft moss and ferns. You trail your fingers along the path's sun-warmed stones, each one polished smooth by countless footsteps. In that touch, you sense the teaching of trillions of journeys woven into your own, that you walk upon a tapestry of lived moments stretching through time. You bow your head to honor every step that brought you here and continue onward, steady and present into the unfolding story of your day. You emerge from the valley's mossy embrace onto a narrow bridge of weathered timbers spanning a gentle stream. Pausing at its midpoint, you rest your hands on the railing and watch sunlight dance across the water's ripples. In that flickering light, you touch the teaching of momentary brilliance, that beauty often shines brightest when we stop to witness its passing. You lean forward, inhale the stream's fresh coolness, and let its sparkle guide you back along the path, ever onward, ever awake to the quiet miracles woven into each breath and every step. You follow the bridge back to the path where wild mint curls along the edges, its cool scent lifting with every step. You pause to crush a leaf beneath your thumb, releasing its crisp aroma into the air. In that simple act, you meet the teaching of immediate transformation, that a small squeeze can unlock layers of freshness, much like attention can awaken hidden depths within. Walking on, you come to a sunlit clearing where a circle of smooth stones surrounds a single ancient oak. You settle upon one of the stones cross-legged and rest your palms lightly on the earth at your sides. The oak's branches arch overhead, leaves whispering secrets of seasons past. In this still communion, you sense the teaching of shared time, that your life is but one moment woven into the oak's long story. You close your eyes and breathe in its patient strength, feeling your own roots grow deep into the moment. A gentle breeze stirs the oak's leaves overhead, sending a soft rustle through the clearing. You open your eyes and rise, brushing moss from your palms, before continuing along a winding trail of sun-dappled earth. Each step is steady, deliberate an embodiment of the teaching that walking itself can become a moving meditation when carried out with full attention. Ahead, the path leads you to a narrow glen where clusters of foxglove stand like watchful sentinels. You kneel to observe their graceful bells and let their quiet presence remind you of the teaching of silent vigilance that sometimes the most potent guardians watch without fanfare. You breathe in the glen's cool shade, sensing how stillness holds its own power. From the glen, a carpet of soft grass unfurls beside a clear spring. You sit and let the water's gentle song carry your thoughts into a realm beyond words. In its murmuring flow, you meet the teaching of continuous renewal. Each moment is fresh if we allow it to be. You dip your hand into the spring-lifting droplets to your lips and feel every sip wash away yesterday's residue. Rejuvenated, you stand and follow a narrow wooden boardwalk that meanders through a field of tall grasses swaying in unison. Their rhythmic dance greets you like an old friend, teaching you the art of harmonious movement that you too can bend and yield without breaking. You release any last tension in your limbs, letting the meadow's gentle sway guide you onward with graceful ease. As the boardwalk ends, you find yourself before a simple stone shrine nestled beneath a canopy of birch. A single lotus blossom floating in a shallow bowl reflects the sky above. You kneel and bow, offering silent gratitude to the countless hands, seen and unseen, that have crafted every moment of your journey. In this final act of reverence, you touch the teaching of humble acknowledgement that wisdom deepens when we honor each step that brings us home. You rise from the shrine's cool stone and step onto a narrow lane dappled by birch shadows, each footfall echoing the lesson of mindful imprint that the path you leave behind is as meaningful as the one ahead. The air carries the faint scent of pine and earth, grounding you in the quiet truth that home is not a place, but the steady beat of presence within. Ahead, a low wooden gate marks the entrance to a secluded courtyard where a single stone bench sits beneath a blooming cherry tree. You settle onto the bench and let petals drift across your shoulders like whispered blessings. In their soft descent, you meet the teaching of gracious arrival, that every moment bears its own welcome, and every pause is an embrace of now. You close your eyes and listen to the tree's gentle sigh, drawing its calm into your heart. When you open your eyes, dusk's first lanterns glow along the courtyard walls, their light a tender promise that guidance remains even as day fades. You stand and trace your fingertips along the gate's worn wood, feeling history's silent greeting. With one last breath of the cherry blossom's perfume, you step back through the gate, carried ever onward by the valley's enduring grace, and anchored forever in the peace of this living moment. The last petals drift down as you step beyond the courtyard gate, and the world's edge softens into dusk's gentle hush. You follow a winding stone lane lit by lanterns, whose glow pulses like patient heartbeats, each one guiding you deeper into the valley's quiet song. Between them, shadows sway in harmony with your breath. Inhale, exhale, reminding you that every moment of light and dark carries its own grace. Ahead, you come upon a narrow wooden bridge arched over a still pool. The lantern's reflections shimmer upon its glassy surface, calling you to pause at its center. You rest your hands on the railing and lean forward, watching your mirrored gaze meet lantern light in perfect symmetry. In that double image, you touch the teaching of mirrored presence that the world you observe and the world within you are one seamless tapestry. Stepping off the bridge, the path threads into a grove of bamboo, whose tall stalks bend in silent chorus to the night breeze. You step between them and feel the teaching of intimate support that even the loftiest forms stand strongest when they grow together. You reach out, brushing a finger along the smooth green skin of a stalk, and let its cool solidity root you in the moment's calm. From the bamboo, a faint melody drifts, a single note plucked on a distant koto. You follow it to a small clearing where a musician sits beneath a starlit sky, her instrument cradled like a sacred offering. You sit on a nearby stone and close your eyes as she begins to play. Each string's gentle resonance weaves through the night, carrying the teaching of soulful expression that every heart has its own song waiting to be heard. You inhale deeply, letting the melody guide your breath, and rest in its tender embrace. When the final note fades into the hush, you rise and follow a final lantern-lit corridor that leads you back to your own door. The key rests in your hand, like a promise kept, and you turn it in the lock with a grateful smile. Inside, you pause a moment in the threshold, feeling the valley's teachings, mirrored presence, intimate support, soulful expression settle around you like a gentle cloak. And now, as you lay down to rest, know that the lanterns still glow within your heart, guiding you through every shadowed night and lighting your path always home. A hush deeper than any before settles into your bones as the lantern's soft pulse fades completely, leaving only the slow rise and fall of your breath. In the darkness behind your closed eyelids, a single point of gentle light blooms at the center of your awareness, tiny, steady, alive. You drift toward it, carried by its warmth, until you stand upon a silent shore, beneath an endless night sky. Ahead, a path of shimmering moonstone arcs across a glassy lake inviting you onward. With bare feet, you step onto its smooth surface and feel the stone's cool clarity beneath each toe. The moonlight above spirals down in ribbons of silver, weaving through your hair and settling on your shoulders like a soft shawl. In that weave, you touch the teaching of luminous embrace, that even the darkest void glows when you bring the light of your own heart. You follow the moonstone path until it curves beneath a soaring arch of living starlight. Beyond it lies a forest of crystalline trees, whose branches tinkle like wind chimes in the quiet. You reach up, letting your fingertips brush their faceted leaves, and hear a chorus of delicate harmonies. The teaching of magical attunement, showing that when you open fully, the world sings your song back to you. Further on, the forest clears into a meadow of silvery grass that sways in a cosmic breeze. Each blade hums with possibility, and you lie back in its soft cradle, letting the grass lift you into a gentle sway. In this cosmic lullaby, you meet the teaching of universal law. Every being, every star, every blade of grass rock together in the quiet cradle of now. And here, rocked by the meadow's cosmic breath, you drift beyond dream, beyond waking, into the boundless sanctuary where every spark of presence becomes a beacon guiding you home. A soft glow unfolds at the edge of the meadow as you drift through its silver blades, revealing a hidden grove where moonflowers open like pale suns in the night. You rise and reach to touch a blossom's silky petal, feeling its cool radiance pulse beneath your fingertip. In that gentle contact, you grasp the teaching of nocturnal bloom, that sometimes the most profound beauty awakens in darkness when all is still. You breathe in the moonflower's quiet light and let it fill your lungs with serene clarity. Beyond the moonflower grove, a gentle mist begins to swirl around your ankles, guiding you toward a series of stepping stones glistening with dew. Each stone floats upon an unseen sea of moonlight, and you step from one to the next with measured grace. In this silent crossing, you meet the teaching of balanced courage, that even when the ground feels uncertain, mindful presence steadies every footfall. You focus on each placement, letting your breath anchor you firmly in the now. At the mist's heart, you find a still pool carved into the rock, its surface mirror smooth and untouched. Pausing at its edge, you trace a finger through the water, sending gentle ripples that carry the moonflower's glow across the pool. In the expanding circles, you touch the teaching of subtle influence, that every small gesture, like a stone's ripple, reaches far beyond its origin. You bow to the pool's silent wisdom, then draw back, letting the glow settle into your core. Guided by the pool's radiance, you follow a narrow path illuminated by suspended lanterns of pearlescent light. They sway in silent welcome, casting soft halos on the misty trail. With each step, you feel the teaching of luminous guidance that when you kindle your inner light, the world arranges itself to illuminate your way. You let the lantern's gentle beams lead you onward, deeper into the heart of night's tranquil embrace. And here, beneath the lantern-lit path and the watchful moon, you surrender fully to the hush of sleep's arrival. Your breath, the last lantern glowing in the darkness, as you drift into dream's tender depths. You follow the lantern-lit path into a grove where ancient oaks stand sentinel, their limbs draped in silent veils of Spanish moss. The lantern glow weaves through the moss, casting filigree patterns of light and shadow across the forest floor. You pause beneath the oaks, feeling their patient strength overhead, and sense the teaching of quiet guardianship that presence itself can watch over others with gentle vigilance. You rest your palm against a gnarled trunk, letting its deep stillness settle into your bones. Beyond the oaks, the path opens onto a terrace carved from living rock, where a circle of low benches invites you to sit. You choose one and close your eyes, tuning in to the orchestra of night sounds. The distant call of an owl, the rustle of small creatures in leaf, litter the soft murmur of a hidden brook. In this natural symphony, you meet the teaching of a tuned harmony, that when you listen deeply, even the subtlest notes become part of your own breath. You inhale the night's full chorus and exhale into its silent spaces. When you open your eyes again, you see a single white feather resting on the bench beside you. You pick it up and hold it to your heart, feeling its weightless promise of freedom. In the feather's gentle curve, You touch the teaching of unburdened flight, that letting go can lift you higher than any striving. You lean back, letting the feather's grace guide your breath into soft, expansive arcs. A faint glow on the far edge of the terrace draws your gaze, a ring of bioluminescent stones glowing like fallen stars. You rise and step among them each footfall, lighting a new stone in your presence. In this living constellation, you perceive the teaching of co-creation, that your very being shapes the world's response. You trace a slow circle around the ring, feeling each lit stone pulse under your touch, and bow in quiet reverence to the light you helped awaken. Guided by the ring's glow, you return to the lantern path and follow it until the forest dissolves into mist. Ahead, a single arch of braided vines frames a pool, reflecting both the moon and the distant lanterns behind you. You step through the arch and kneel at the water's edge, cupping a handful of its cool surface to your lips. In that single sip, you meet the teaching of seamless reflection, that what you carry within is mirrored all around you. You rest in the pool's hush, letting its clarity merge with your own. And here beneath the braided arch and the watchful moon, you lift your gaze beyond the veil of mist into the timeless space where breath and water light and shadow self and world flow as one. You close your eyes and yield to the night's final hush, carried gently into the boundless sanctuary of dream. Soft mist curls around your ankles as you rise from the water's edge, the pool's mirrored silence folding into the hush within your chest. You follow a narrow causeway of moon-washed stones that extends into a forest of crystalline pines, their needles tinkling like chimes in the gentle breeze. Each step across the stones feels weightless, as though you tread upon fragments of starlight. In their delicate glow, you meet the teaching of ethereal steadiness, that even the most fragile light can bear you onward when held with trust. Ahead, the pines open onto a meadow of silver grasses, so tall they brush your shoulders like satin threads. You wander through them, letting each blade's cool tip draw your awareness deeper into the moment's soft expanse. In this seamless sea of pale motion, you sense the teaching of unified flow. Every strand of life moves together as one living tapestry. You close your eyes and sway with the grasses breathing in their whispered lullaby, and feel yourself dissolve into the meadow's boundless grace, ever carried onward by the gentle breath of presence. A single beam of moonlight breaks through the meadow's silvery haze, guiding you to a lone white foxglove standing at the center. You lean in and breathe its cool fragrance, feeling the teaching of solitary bloom, that every being carries its own radiance even when standing alone. You reach out to touch a slender petal, letting its soft curve trace your fingertips, and in that contact, you sense the foxglove's quiet strength echoing within your own heart. As you rise, the foxglove's glow fades into the surrounding mist, and you notice a narrow path of pale stones leading beyond the meadow's edge. With each step, the grasses part reverently, and you walk deeper into the night's gentle hush. Above the moon, arcs low in the sky, its silver light weaving through the trees like a protector's cloak. In this embrace, you touch the teaching of watchful care, that the unseen forces of kindness and guidance accompany you at every turn. You follow the moonlit path until it curves to reveal the low silhouette of your own home, nestled among ancient pines. The windows glow softly, promising rest and renewal. You pause at the threshold, pressing your palm to the cool wood and offering a silent bow of gratitude for the moon's guidance, the meadow's embrace, the foxglove's solitary song, and the endless breath of presence that has carried you here. And now, stepping through your own door, you let the night's lantern-lit journey settle into the sanctuary of home. Your breath slows to the earth's gentle pulse, and you rest cradled by the valley's enduring grace, ever ready to awaken wise and at peace. A soft wave of peace settles over you as your breath deepens each exhale, carrying you farther into the valley's quiet heart. In the darkness behind your lids, images of moonlit meadows, lantern-lit paths, and shimmering pools drift like gentle lanterns of memory. You float among them, carried by the same tender currents that guided every step of your journey. Below, the soft pulse of your own heartbeat becomes a steady drum, echoing the valley's hidden rhythms. Above, the vast night sky unfurls as a canopy of silent stars, each one a reminder that presence stretches without limit. You rest in this seamless embrace of earth and sky, of inner light and outer wonder. And here beyond form, beyond thought, in the boundless expanse of your own awareness, you surrender completely to the sanctuary of sleep, knowing you are always held, always guided, always home. A faint glow stirs at the edge of your dream, soft pale beckoning you onward. You rise in the stillness, feeling weightless, and find yourself standing at the rim of a quiet volcano whose slopes are cloaked in midnight blossoms. Each flower pulses gently as though breathing in time with your own heart. In their shared rhythm, you touch the teaching of co-breath, that inner and outer worlds inhale and exhale together as one living symphony. You step onto a narrow lava path that glows with embers of cooled flame, each stone cool beneath your soles, yet humming with ancient warmth. With each footfall, the embers light beneath your touch, illuminating the path ahead in soft ember light. In this gentle illumination, you meet the teaching of transformative touch, that every step you take both shapes and is shaped by the world you traverse. The path winds upward toward the crater's lip, where a bowl of obsidian water lies still in the moon's reflection. You kneel and gather a handful of the mirror-dark water, letting its coolness pool in your palm before lifting it to your lips. In that singular sip, you taste the teaching of elemental unity, that water, fire, earth, and air converge within you as surely as they converge in the world. Behind you, the lava path cools to starlit stone, and ahead the volcano's crater opens onto a sky of drifting galaxies. You rise and step through the rim as petals of cosmic lotus drift down to welcome you. Each lotus unfurls just above the molten horizon, teaching you the art of fragile emergence, that beauty often unfolds at the edge of transformation. And here, on this threshold, between ember and star breath and cosmos, you stand in perfect stillness, held by the valley's enduring flame and the boundless expanse beyond. You close your eyes, sink into the lava stone path beneath, and let sleep's gentle current carry you deeper into dream's vast embrace. Soft starlight pours through the floating lotus blossoms as you drift from the crater's edge, carried by the warm breath of the cooled lava stones beneath you. You follow a ribbon of ember-bright petals that winds down into a silent canyon, whose walls glow with ancient runes of fire and moon. Each rune pulses in time, with your heart teaching the harmony of inner and outer flame, how the same spark that fires the world burns softly within your own chest. Descending into the canyon's hush, you come upon a pool of molten glass, whose surface holds the reflection of distant galaxies. You kneel and gently touch the rim, feeling its warm, smooth edge carve a path of clarity through the haze of dream. In this molten mirror, you meet the teaching of fluid perception, that reality shifts like glass in the heat of awareness, yet each shape holds its own fragile beauty. You raise your hand to catch a single drop of starlight that cools upon your finger, a living prism of the universe's tender light. Guided by the glass pool's silent wisdom, you rise and step onto a hidden stair of obsidian and crystal that spirals upward through the canyon's core. With each measured step, you sense the teaching of ascendant calm, that true elevation comes not by force, but by the patient gathering of presence. The walls around you hum with the soft song of cooled fire, and you let their resonance carry you ever higher until at last you emerge once more beneath the boundless sky, where ember lotus and star converge in perfect stillness. Here on this narrow ledge, between Earth's last ember and heaven's first star, you pause and bow heart, open breath, still inviting sleep's final embrace to carry you beyond all form, beyond all flame, into the silent heart of dreaming.